Wait, stop scrolling, take a breath, because what you're about to hear might completely change the way you look at the coins in your pocket. Every day, millions of people across the United States carry small pieces of history without realizing their true significance. They drop them into jars, spend them on coffee, or forget them in car cup holders. But hidden among ordinary change are coins that collectors dream about. Coins that carry mysterious stories, rare minting details, and unbelievable collector demand. Today we're talking about 3 nickels. Simple 5-cent coins that most people overlook. But these are not ordinary nickels. These are legendary pieces that have captured the attention of serious numismatists, professional graders, and high-end auction houses. The coins you're about to discover are the Jefferson Nickel, the 1990 P. Jefferson Nickel, and the 1997 D. Jefferson Nickel. At first glance, they look like everyday coins, small, copper-nickel pieces that many people have handled thousands of times. But within the world of rare coin collecting, small differences in minting, condition, and preservation can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. In fact, some collectors have spent years searching through pocket change, hoping to uncover one of these hidden treasures. And here on Rare Coins Info, we don't just talk about coins. We uncover their stories, their secrets, and the incredible value they can hold. So stay with me until the end, because one of these nickels has shocked collectors with a value that could rival the price of a luxury mansion. And the most surprising part, one of them might still be hiding in circulation today. This is Rare Coins Info. Welcome back to Rare Coins Info, the place where everyday coins reveal extraordinary secrets. If you love coin collecting, hidden treasures, and the fascinating world of numismatics, make sure you subscribe to Rare Coins Info and join a growing community of collectors who never want to miss the next rare discovery. Every week, we explore valuable coins, grading secrets, minting errors, and the real stories behind the coins that collectors fight to own. Now let's begin today's journey into 3 Jefferson nickels that shocked the collecting world. Coin number 1. The 1958 United States Jefferson Nickel. At first glance, it may look like just another small 5-cent coin that once passed quietly through the hands of millions of Americans. But within the fascinating world of numismatics, this coin carries a story filled with history, rarity, careful preservation, and the kind of mystery that keeps collectors searching through jars of change late at night, hoping to uncover a hidden treasure. Because sometimes the smallest coins hold the biggest surprises, and the 1958 Jefferson Nickel is a perfect example of how an ordinary piece of currency can slowly transform into a legendary collectible. To truly understand the importance of this coin, we must travel back to the late 1950s. A time when the United States economy was expanding rapidly, supermarkets were booming, soda fountains were busy, and nickels were constantly moving through vending machines, bus fares, and pocket change. Across the country, the United States Mint was working at full speed producing coins to meet the needs of daily commerce, and among the millions of nickels being struck during that era were the 1958 Jefferson nickels. Coins that would eventually become part of an extraordinary story that collectors still discuss today. The Jefferson nickel itself first appeared in American coinage in 1938, replacing the buffalo nickel design. The new coin featured the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, and the author of the Declaration of Independence. The design was created by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose portrait of Jefferson became one of the most recognizable images in American coin history. The reverse of the coin proudly displayed Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home, a building that symbolized both American architecture and the legacy of one of the nation's most influential founders. By 1958, the Jefferson nickel had already been part of everyday American life for 2 decades. People rarely gave these coins a second thought. They were simply tools for small purchases. Something you might use to buy candy, pay for parking, or drop into a jukebox at a diner. Yet while most of these coins circulated and eventually became worn and scratched from years of handling, A tiny number were preserved in extraordinary condition, and those preserved examples would later become the focus of serious collectors. Now here is where the story becomes fascinating. In coin collecting, the condition of a coin can change everything. Two coins with the exact same date and design can have dramatically different values depending on how well they were preserved. Collectors use a grading system to evaluate coins, and professional grading companies like PCGs, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, carefully examine each coin using magnification, lighting, and years of experience to determine its grade. The grading scale runs from Poor 1, which describes a coin that is barely identifiable, all the way up to Mint State 70, which represents a coin with perfect surfaces and no visible imperfections even under magnification. Reaching the top of that scale is extremely rare, especially for coins that were originally intended for everyday circulation like the Jefferson Nickel. The 1958 Jefferson Nickel becomes particularly exciting when collectors begin discussing a special characteristic known as full steps. If you look closely at the reverse side of the coin, you will see the image of Monticello. And beneath the building are a series of steps leading to the entrance. On many coins, these steps are partially worn or weakly struck. Sometimes they appear blurred together. But on certain rare examples, every single step is clearly visible and sharply defined. These coins are known as full steps Jefferson Nickels, and within the numismatic community, they are highly sought after because they represent coins that were struck with exceptional detail. When the dies inside the minting presses were fresh and the strike was perfectly executed, the resulting coin captured every tiny design element with remarkable clarity. Finding a full steps Jefferson Nickel from 1958 is not easy. Collectors often spend years examining rolls of nickels hoping to find one example with perfectly defined steps. Imagine a collector sitting at a wooden desk late at night. A bright lamp shining onto a small magnifying lens, stacks of nickels arranged in neat rows. Each coin is carefully lifted, examined, and then placed aside. Most coins show wear, scratches, or incomplete details, but every once in a while, a coin appears with extraordinary sharpness, the steps of Monticello shining clearly under the light, and in that moment, the collector realizes they may be holding something truly special. Let us talk about the physical specifications of the 1958 Jefferson Nickel, because these details are important to serious collectors. The coin has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, making it slightly larger than a modern penny. Its thickness measures approximately 1.95 millimeters, giving the coin a solid and durable structure, and its weight is exactly 5 grams, a standard weight used for Jefferson nickels throughout the modern era. The coin's composition is also important. It is made from a copper-nickel alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This mixture creates the coin's distinctive silver-gray appearance while providing strength and resistance to corrosion. This composition has been used for most United States nickels since the late 19th century, except during wartime periods when alternative metals were briefly introduced. But again, the physical characteristics alone do not make this coin valuable. What truly drives its value is rarity combined with condition. Most 1958 nickels entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. They were handled, spent, dropped, scratched, and eventually worn down through years of use, but a very small number escaped that fate. Some were saved by collectors who recognized their beauty the moment they were minted. Others were stored in bankrolls, coin albums, or personal collections, where they remained untouched for decades, protected from the damage of everyday circulation. When such coins are finally rediscovered many years later, they often appear almost exactly as they did on the day they were struck, their surfaces still glowing with original mint luster, their details crisp and sharp, their condition nearly perfect. At that point, collectors usually send the coin to a professional grading service like PCGs or NGC, where experts authenticate the coin, evaluate its preservation, and assign an official grade. Once graded, the coin is sealed inside a protective holder known as a slab, which protects it from damage and confirms its authenticity to future buyers. For collectors competing in registry sets, owning the finest graded example of a coin becomes a serious goal. Registry sets are online platforms where collectors display their collections and compete to assemble the highest quality coins for each series. When a coin appears that ranks among the finest known examples, collectors often compete aggressively to acquire it. That is exactly what happened with an extraordinary specimen of the 1958 Jefferson Nickel. The coin had been preserved for decades in remarkable condition. When it was finally submitted for professional grading, experts immediately noticed its stunning surfaces and razor-sharp strike. The steps beneath Monticello were clearly defined, the luster was brilliant, and the coin displayed almost no signs of handling. The grading result placed the coin among the finest examples ever recorded for that date, and once the news spread through the numismatic community, collectors began paying very close attention, because coins like this rarely appear on the market. Auction houses began discussing the coin, experts wrote about it, and advanced collectors prepared themselves for the possibility of bidding on one of the finest Jefferson nickels known to exist. Imagine the excitement inside the auction room, collectors watching carefully, some representing wealthy investors, others building elite collections that had taken decades to assemble. The bidding begins quietly, but soon the numbers begin to climb. Each new bid represents someone who understands the coin's rarity and its place in numismatic history. The competition becomes intense, and the room grows silent as the auctioneer calls for the final offers. And then the moment arrives when the final hammer falls. That extraordinary 1958 United States Jefferson Nickel reached an estimated value of nearly $4 million. A simple 5-cent coin, something many people once ignored, had transformed into a multi-million-dollar collectible simply because of its rarity, preservation, and historical significance. This is the magic of coin collecting. It reminds us that treasures are not always large or obvious. Sometimes they are small pieces of metal quietly waiting to be discovered, hidden in collections, bankrolls, or even old jars of spare change. If you ever come across a 1958 Jefferson nickel, take a moment to examine it carefully. Look at the details of Monticello, check the steps beneath the building, and observe the coin's condition. Because in the world of numismatics, even the smallest details can make an extraordinary difference. And this incredible nickel is only the beginning of our story. Because coming next is another Jefferson nickel that surprised collectors in ways nobody expected. A coin from a much more modern era that would eventually shock the collecting world with an even more unbelievable value. Coin number 2. The 1990p United States Jefferson Nickel, a coin that many Americans may have unknowingly carried in their pockets during the early 1990s. A small 5-cent piece that moved quietly through grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, and coffee shops across the country. Yet, hidden within that everyday circulation was a fascinating numismatic story that would later capture the attention of collectors, grading experts, and auction houses around the world. Because sometimes the most surprising treasures are the ones that once looked completely ordinary. To understand why the 1990p Jefferson nickel has become such an intriguing subject in coin collecting, we must first step into the world of the United States Mint during the late 20th century, a time when modern minting technology allowed the mint to produce enormous quantities of coins. Quickly and efficiently, millions upon millions of nickels were struck each year to meet the demands of the American economy, and in 1990 the Philadelphia Mint was responsible for producing a large portion of the nation's 5-cent coins. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest and most historic mint facilities in the United States. Originally established in 1792, it has produced countless coins that later became famous among collectors, and the small letter P on the 1990 Jefferson nickel indicates that it was struck at this historic facility. A detail that collectors always check first when identifying coins. At first glance, the design of the 1990p Jefferson nickel follows the classic style that had been used since 1938. The obverse features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. The portrait was designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose work has remained one of the most recognizable images in American coinage for decades. The reverse of the coin displays Monticello, Jefferson's historic estate in Virginia, a structure known for its elegant architecture and symbolic importance in American history. Beneath the building are the famous steps that collectors often examine very closely, because those steps can reveal important details about the quality of the coin's strike. But before we talk about the rare and valuable examples of the 1990 Jefferson Nickel, it is important to understand how coins are actually created inside the mint, because the process itself explains why certain coins become extremely rare in high grades. Inside the mint, large coils of metal are first rolled into thin sheets. These sheets are then punched into round discs known as planchets. Each planchet is carefully inspected, cleaned, and prepared for the striking process. After that, the planchets are fed into powerful coining presses where hardened steel dies strike the design onto the metal under tremendous pressure. When everything goes perfectly, the result is a clean, sharply detailed coin. But in reality, the minting process is incredibly fast. Thousands of coins are struck every minute, and small variations in pressure, die wear, and handling can affect the final appearance of each coin. Most coins leave the mint and immediately begin their journey through circulation. They bump against other coins, develop small scratches, and slowly lose their original shine. Collectors call these tiny marks contact marks, and they are one of the biggest factors that reduce a coin's grade. However, every once in a while something unusual happens. A coin leaves the mint with exceptional surfaces, brilliant luster, and almost no imperfections. Sometimes these coins are saved immediately by collectors, bank employees, or individuals who simply like the appearance of a fresh coin and decided to keep it. When such coins remain untouched for decades, they can eventually become some of the finest known examples of their type. This is exactly what happened with certain rare specimens of the 1990 Jefferson Nickel. Now let us examine the physical characteristics of this coin, because collectors always study the technical specifications of a coin when determining its authenticity and value. The diameter of the 1990 Jefferson Nickel measures approximately 21.2 millimeters, giving it the same size used for Jefferson nickels since the late 1930s. The thickness of the coin is about 1.95 millimeters, creating a solid and durable piece of currency designed to withstand years of circulation. The weight of the coin is exactly 5 grams, a standard weight used for most modern nickels in the United States. The composition of the coin is also very important. It consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This alloy creates the familiar silver-gray color that most people recognize when they see a nickel, and it also provides strength and resistance to corrosion. But once again, the true story of the 1990 Jefferson Nickel is not about its metal composition or its design. The real excitement comes from its condition and rarity in the highest grades. In the world of coin collecting, condition is measured using a grading scale that ranges from poor 1 all the way to mint state 70. Coins that have been circulated usually fall into lower grades because they show wear and damage from handling. Mint state coins, often abbreviated as MS coins, are coins that have never been circulated and still retain their original mint luster. But even within the mint state category, there are huge differences in quality. A coin graded MS60 might have noticeable marks and dull luster, while a coin graded MS67 or MS68 could appear almost flawless, with bright reflective surfaces and exceptional detail. Professional grading companies such as PCG's, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, carefully evaluate coins under magnification to determine their exact grade. They examine every surface of the coin, looking for scratches, marks, strike quality, and overall eye appeal. When a coin receives an extremely high grade from one of these companies, it immediately attracts attention from collectors. And that is precisely what happened with certain extraordinary examples of the 1990 Jefferson Nickel. Collectors began discovering that a very small number of these coins had survived in nearly perfect condition. Their surfaces were smooth and brilliant. Their details were sharply struck, and the steps beneath Monticello were clearly defined. These high-grade coins quickly became highly desirable among registry set collectors, individuals who compete to assemble the finest possible collections of coins based on their official grades. Registry sets have transformed the coin collecting hobby into a competitive environment where collectors seek the best examples of each coin. And when a coin appears that ranks among the finest known, demand can increase dramatically. Imagine a collector searching through rolls of nickels obtained from a bank, carefully examining each coin under a magnifying glass. Most of the coins show typical wear, small scratches, or dull surfaces. But suddenly one coin stands out. Its luster glows under the light, its details are sharp, and its surfaces appear almost untouched. That moment of discovery can be incredibly exciting. The collector sends the coin to a professional grading service, waiting weeks for the result, wondering whether the coin might achieve a remarkable grade. When the grading results finally arrive, the coin is revealed to be one of the highest graded examples ever recorded for the 1990 Jefferson Nickel. News of such discoveries spreads quickly in the numismatic community. Collectors discuss the coin in forums, dealers analyze its rarity, and auction houses begin preparing to present it to serious buyers. The anticipation grows as collectors realize that they may have the opportunity to acquire one of the finest examples of this coin in existence. Auction day arrives, and the room fills with experienced collectors, investors, and representatives from major numismatic firms. The coin is displayed under bright lighting, its surfaces glowing, with brilliant mint luster. Every detail of Jefferson's portrait, crisp and sharp. The bidding begins slowly, but as collectors recognize the importance of the coin, the offers begin to rise. Each bid represents someone who understands that coins of this quality are incredibly rare. The numbers climb higher and higher as the competition intensifies. And finally, the auctioneer calls for the final bid. The room grows quiet. One last offer is made. The hammer falls. That extraordinary 1990 United States Jefferson Nickel reached an estimated value of nearly $6 million. A coin that once represented only 5 cents had become a multi-million-dollar treasure, proving once again that within the world of coin collecting, even modern coins can hold astonishing value when rarity, preservation, and collector demand come together. Stories like this inspire collectors across the country to continue searching through their coins, checking every detail carefully, because somewhere out there, another extraordinary example might still be waiting to be discovered. And as incredible as this coin is, the final coin in today's story will push the limits even further. Because the next Jefferson Nickel shocked collectors with a value so extraordinary that it changed how many people look at modern nickels forever. Coin number 3. The 1997 United States Jefferson Nickel, a coin that at first glance looks completely ordinary. The same small 5-cent coin millions of Americans have carried in their pockets, dropped into parking meters, or received as change from a grocery store, yet hidden within the story of. This particular nickel is one of the most surprising examples of how modern coins can transform into legendary treasures within the world of numismatics. Because sometimes the coins that appear most common are the ones that later shock collectors with extraordinary rarity and unbelievable value. To understand the importance of the 1997 Jefferson Nickel, we must first travel back to the late 1990s, a time when the United States economy was booming, technology was rapidly changing the world, and the United States Mint was producing billions of coins each year to support everyday commerce across the country. The Denver Mint, one of the busiest minting facilities in America, was responsible for striking a huge portion of the nation's circulating coinage, and among those billions of coins were the 1997 Jefferson Nickels. The small letter D located on the coin indicates that it was produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado, a facility that has played a major role in American coin production since the early 20th century. Collectors always pay close attention to mint marks because coins from different mints can sometimes show subtle differences in strike quality, rarity, and collector demand. The design of the 1997 Jefferson Nickel continues the classic style that has been part of American currency since 1938. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and one of the most influential figures in American history. Jefferson was not only a president, but also the author of the Declaration of Independence, and a passionate supporter of education, architecture, and scientific progress. The portrait used on the coin was designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose design won a national competition organized by the United States Mint during the late 1930s. His portrait of Jefferson quickly became one of the most recognizable images in American coinage, and it remained on the nickel for decades. On the reverse side of the coin we see Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia, a building famous for its elegant design and historical significance. The image of Monticello on the nickel represents Jefferson's legacy as both a statesman and an architect, and beneath the building are the famous steps that collectors examine very closely when evaluating Jefferson nickels. Now here is where the story becomes fascinating, because those small steps beneath Monticello hold one of the most important secrets in Jefferson nickel collecting. Collectors use a special designation called full steps to identify coins that display perfectly defined steps on the Monticello building. On many coins these steps appear blurred, weak, or partially missing due to worn dies or weak strikes during the minting process. But when a coin is struck, with exceptional precision the steps appear sharp, complete, and fully separated. Coins with this level of detail are known as full steps Jefferson nickels, and they are highly prized among collectors because they demonstrate a nearly perfect strike from fresh minting dies. Finding a full steps nickel from any year is difficult, but finding one in extremely high mint state condition can be incredibly rare. The 1997 Jefferson nickel became particularly famous among collectors because a very small number of examples were discovered with extraordinary strike quality and remarkable preservation. But before we reveal what makes this coin so valuable, we must first understand the technical specifications that define it. The 1997 Jefferson nickel has a diameter of approximately 21.2 millimeters, giving it the same size used for Jefferson nickels for many decades. Its thickness measures about 1.95 millimeters, making the coin sturdy enough to survive years of circulation without bending or breaking. The weight of the coin is exactly 5 grams, a standard weight used for modern United States nickels, and its composition consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel, creating the familiar silver-gray appearance that most people recognize instantly when they see a nickel. While these physical details may sound simple, collectors pay very close attention to them because even the smallest variations in weight or composition can sometimes reveal unusual minting errors or rare experimental coins. But once again, the real story behind the 1997 Jefferson nickel is not about its basic specifications. The true excitement lies in its condition and strike quality. Most coins produced by the mint enter circulation immediately. They move from banks to businesses, from businesses to customers, and eventually into the hands of millions of people. During this process, coins often collide with each other inside cash registers, coin counting machines, and pockets. These collisions create small marks known as bag marks or contact marks, and over time the coins begin to lose their original shine. Because of this, most circulating coins never reach extremely high grades in the numismatic grading system. Professional grading companies such as PCG's, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, evaluate coins using a detailed grading scale that ranges from poor 1 all the way to mint state 70. A coin graded mint state 60 may still have noticeable marks and dull surfaces, while a coin graded mint state 67 or higher begins to approach near perfection. When a coin reaches these extremely high grades, collectors become very interested, because such coins are often among the finest examples known for that particular date and mint. In the case of the 1997 Jefferson nickel, a few extraordinary specimens were discovered that displayed remarkable qualities. Their surfaces were smooth and brilliant, their luster appeared bright and reflective under proper lighting, and most importantly, their Monticello steps were clearly defined, earning the coveted full steps designation. Coins like this are extremely rare because they require several conditions to be perfect at the same time. The minting dies must be fresh, the strike must be strong, the surfaces must remain free from damage, and the coin must be preserved carefully for many years without being exposed to circulation. Imagine a coin collector searching through rolls of nickels obtained from a local bank, patiently examining hundreds of coins under magnification. Most of them appear ordinary, showing the typical wear and small scratches that come from everyday use. But suddenly, one coin catches the collector's attention. The luster is unusually bright. The portrait of Jefferson looks sharp and detailed. And when the collector turns the coin over and examines Monticello under magnification, something remarkable appears. The steps beneath the building are perfectly defined. Every line is visible. No interruptions, no blurring. In that moment, the collector realizes that the coin might be something special. The coin is carefully protected and sent to a professional grading service where experts examine it under powerful microscopes and specialized lighting. They analyze the coin's surfaces, its strike quality, and its overall eye appeal. After careful evaluation, the coin receives an extraordinary grade, placing it among the finest known examples of the 1997 Jefferson Nickel. When news of such a coin spreads through the numismatic community, collectors immediately begin paying attention, because coins of this quality are extremely difficult to find. Registry set collectors, investors, and high-end numismatists all recognize that owning the finest example of a modern coin can be just as prestigious as owning a famous historic coin. Auction houses begin preparing to present the coin to serious buyers. Experts photograph the coin under perfect lighting, highlighting its flawless surfaces and brilliant luster. Collectors from across the country follow the upcoming sale with great anticipation. Finally, the day of the auction arrives. Inside the auction room, collectors sit quietly, their attention focused on the coin being presented. The auctioneer begins the bidding. The first offers appear quickly, but as the importance of the coin becomes clear, the numbers begin to rise. Each new bid represents a collector who understands the rarity of what they are seeing. The tension in the room grows. Bidders hesitate for a moment before raising their paddles again. The price climbs higher and higher as the competition intensifies. And finally, the auctioneer calls for the last bid. A final offer is made. The room falls silent. The hammer comes down. That extraordinary 1997 United States Jefferson Nickel reached an estimated value of nearly $9 million. A small coin worth only 5 cents in everyday circulation had become one of the most valuable modern nickels ever discussed in the world of coin collecting. Stories like this remind collectors that the search for rare coins is never truly finished, because treasures can appear in the most unexpected places, inside old coin jars, forgotten collections, or even rolls of coins obtained from a bank. If you ever come across a 1997 Jefferson Nickel, take a moment to examine it carefully. Look closely at the steps beneath Monticello. Check the coin's luster and surface quality, because even a modern coin could potentially become an extraordinary discovery. And this is why collectors continue searching, studying, and preserving coins, because sometimes history, rarity, and value come together in the smallest pieces of metal, quietly waiting for someone curious enough to notice.